Okay, I believe we are now live. I am Elsa McLeod, and I have an amazing guest and co author with me today,
Mhm.
Heather Benton. And she is your financial GPS mama, which is awesome. Both entrepreneurs, both authors, now international best-selling authors. And that's pretty cool. Hi, Heather. How are you?
Great. How are you? I know it's kind of surreal, right? It wasn't a journey I thought it was going to take. And then yet here we are. And unexpected, a pleasant, unexpected theme.
Which
So,
is awesome. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now that you are an author, I never thought you would be one.
mhm.
What do you think? This whole process has been pretty amazing. And, we were waiting for it to come. And then all of a sudden it was here on Mother's Day, of all
Mhm.
days.
Yeah.
So, what are your takeaways?
Well, I think for people just to be open to things, so we go through the universe. A lot of times we just assume that, oh, well, that's not really for me, or, that's not my thing. But to be open, when Hannah contacted me on the last book, and I know you were in the last book too, the entrepreneur book, we both have that one, right? So I didn't hesitate. Something just told me, this is an opportunity to share my story and support other women while they're in their journey, to give them motivation and encouragement to keep going. Right. And I'm like, gosh, would not have been a blessing if I had had something that I could turn to during my journey. And it's really helped me support even some of the new things that come up, to be open and willing to accept these opportunities. So I think, I don't know about you, but I think it's been a real blessing even to myself, just knowing that I'm part of something that's affecting other women, but it's also kind of forced me into some new uncomfortable spaces that are better that I didn't know I needed to fit into.
Well, there you go. I agree. Because, I mean, the entrepreneur book, the second book that we had launched, it
Mhm.
was great reading because everyone comes from a different experience and a different lessons learned. Some were giving us, more feedback, other stories of, what not to do. And I love that because we do need to support each other more. And, the 25 women in this book, the Becoming an Unstoppable Womanpreneur, woman mompreneur,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
been awesome because, I mean, my kids are in their 20s now. And, I have to think back to all the things, but a lot of you are going through the motions with young ones. And it's so cool for me to re-see that. And you're right. If I had, the playbook when I was, 20 years ago, it would have been a little different.
Yeah. I'm sure. And yeah, it's got to be a little surreal, just like you said, looking back. But,
Mm.
I have three girls. One's 26. It's my stepdaughter, but I've had her full time since she was 10. So I don't really even introduce her anymore as like, this is my stepdaughter. It's just we have three daughters. So I have one in the
Yeah.
20s, and then I have, an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. So it's kind of like all different ages with all different needs. And, but what I do love about this book, about the Mompreneur book, like you're saying, is you're not just going to get the same person telling the same story. We're all very different. We're from different parts of the world at times,
Mhm.
kids in different ages, family, different dynamics, different needs, that are on us, and how we have found to deal with that. I mean, how to wear the mom hat, how to wear the boss hat, how to wear the entrepreneur hat. And even some of us, some people, they're just like, oh, I'm not an entrepreneur, maybe I shouldn't read it. If you're a working mom at all, or are thinking about becoming a working mom again, you need to read the book, because it really talks about that juggle. As women, we wear so many hats. A lot of the hats we put on ourselves that
Mhm.
other people aren't even putting on us, but we put them on ourselves because we think they need to be there. And that's kind of, my chapters, finding balance. And it's kind of understanding that, like, trying to find, the extra 2 hours in the day that you needed to get things accomplished that wasn't there, right? So learning how to even like time block your time and say, okay, if you
Mhm.
commit to this one thing for an hour or two and do nothing but that, and including your children in what you're doing. Like, listen, I'm going to do this from this to this, but when I'm done with that, then we can play a game. So go pick out what game we're going to play when I'm done with this, you know, and just including them in what's going on so they don't feel like, you know, they're left out, and gives them some decision time to be like, oh, well, this is my reward for doing my work. I homeschool, so it's like, do this assignment and give me space, and then, you know, the reward is this. And just but you know, other women that aren't walking in that might be, and we have some women in the book that are just step parents, and that juggle, and I understand it because I've been one, the juggle of being the step parent, and here this family's kind of come into your life, and you're maybe a business owner. What does that look like, and how do you make those adjustments? And so that's what I do love, is that, you know, Hannah really was able to find 25 different complete stories. And, you know, maybe having adult children and trying to still stay involved, and what that looks like, you know, and being involved with grandchildren while you're trying to continue on a business maybe you started later in life, just all the different dynamics. And so that's what I really just love about the book. And I haven't even been able to read it all yet myself, but in the ones that I have read, just are pretty exciting. I don't know. What are your takes so far on kind of the reviews and the responses and
I
things?
think it's pretty amazing because you're right. I mean, we're in 5 different countries. We have different ways we've grown up, and then we've taken care of our children. And it's funny though, a lot of us homeschooled, so it just seemed to be something that I did with my youngest for part of elementary school and for high school.
Mhm.
And it was just it was easier for me to do that, to understand what it is he was going through. And he was a brilliant child, so it was just sitting down with him and getting him to do stuff, and then he would run off and play or do his thing while mom did her thing. So you're right, it was definitely blocking those times. But it is really nice to hear other women say too that I took a very easy approach because we had a custom built home built, a 3-bedroom custom built home built, because I was told I could only have one child. And
Oh,
then lo and behold, number two was coming along. So my office was huge, but my oldest son got to share it with me. So his Power Rangers sat at the end of my desk, and
yeah.
it was just something that happened. And it just allowing the kids to be a part of the process, like you said, made it so much easier, and communication was key. And I find a lot of women are like that. We all have our kids close, their toys are in our offices.
Oh
It
yeah.
wasn't
We're at
you go downstairs and watch TV, might happen once or twice, but
yeah.
other than that, it was still sort of an inclusive type of arrangement. And I love that, and how open all the women are to say, we're all mompreneurs.
Mhm.
There's things that we think we do. Like I remember, nobody I knew was an entrepreneur. And
Right.
here I was with 2 little kids thinking I'm losing my mind. I'm doing everything wrong because there was nobody to, talk about and bounce ideas off of, even in being the mother, not just the entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
it's great now that we have that, and we have that tribe to be able to continue those conversations.
It is. You know, I was just telling somebody the other day, is so hard sometimes when we do. I find many women do this. I do this. You don't give yourself the credit or the grace, you know, for like what you are walking through or what you have walked through. And so that's another thing that I try to talk about in the book. And when I meet with clients, even when we're having that conversation about their personal lives and their personal goals, is at the end of each day, like I just really encourage women. And if you don't take the time, and I'm preaching to the choir here because I don't take the time every day, at least at the end of each week or every couple of days, when you look at your list and you're like, oh, there was 15 things on there and I only got 5 of them done. Like celebrate those 5, because getting those 5 done was huge.
Yeah.
Right. And then I want you to go back and pencil in the other like 15 to 20 things you did that day that you didn't know you were going to have to do that day. Because when you have kids, like you said, all around you, right? Our husbands, or, you know, maybe you have an adult family member you're helping take care of, or maybe you had to go run extra errands, or the neighbor called and said, hey, I'm still at work. Can you go pick up my kids too? Or whatever it was, there was something else that prevented you from getting that list done, but it's because you accomplished something else. So give yourself, that accountability and that grace that you did get those things done, and just add that to the next list. It will eventually get done. But so many times we beat ourselves up, and people will sometimes be like, oh my gosh, Heather, I don't know how you do it all. Like, I don't know how you get through the day. And I'm like, are you kidding? I'm drowning over here. What are you talking about? But I don't realize or give myself the credit for what I did get done, So, or maybe you're used to performing at such a level, that you're like, if I'm not up here, like way up here, then I'm doing it wrong, or I'm not getting the things done. And so I think I like that about, the book too, is just like you said, being real, being honest, and just letting them kind of, pulling back the curtains and taking the wizard away and letting them know, like, this is human. We're all human. That all happens. Kids happen, things happen. You have it all perfectly planned out, and then it doesn't go that way, and it's okay.
Absolutely. You're right. Because we put too much pressure on ourselves. And even when I coach women, I said, if you're going to give yourself more than 3 things to do today, you're probably not going to achieve them.
Right.
Because you're right. Things get in the way. People want more from you than what you're delivering. Technology breaks down. There are so many different things that we have to look at. And then if you have kids pulling on your, your coattails, then yeah, they have to, sometimes be looked after immediately. So things have to pivot.
Yeah. Even like you said, with clients, when I'm sitting down with people and I'm doing a financial projection on their future, sometimes even with that, they start putting too much expectation on their plate. Like you said, like, let's take small, achievable steps, because especially no matter what you're looking at, whether you're looking at your goals for your business, whether you're looking at your finances, whether, you're looking at your year-long goals, your month-long goal, because if you put too much on that list, it just becomes so unachievable that you just ignore it, right? Because you're just like, it's too big of a bear. I can't eat it all at one time. I'm just gonna forget about that. But if you have small, achievable steps that seem possible, and then as you start to achieve them, then you feel better about yourself and you can keep moving. I know finance, that's big. If you tell someone, okay, we're gonna save, $300,000 in 5 years, that seems too big, right? It seems too much. But if you say, I just want you to pay, $200 a month, pretend you don't have it. We're going to find that money in your budget. We're going to stop paying this, and because it's frugal, and we're going to do over here. And all of a sudden, before they know it, they've been doing that $200 for 20 years, and they have $300,000 for retirement savings. They're like, oh my gosh, it really worked. I didn't know that. Because it's achievable, that lower amounts. It's the same thing with anything. If you're making your to-do list, I think it's great advice you're giving your clients. If you're making your to-do list, make 3 achievable goals, right? These 3 things can happen today. And if they don't happen exactly at 2:00 when you planned it, it's okay. Just do it sometime that day, right? Or if you find I have extra time, like this morning, I taken my dad to the doctor, and I'm like, okay, I have 30 minutes right now. I've got to make these 3 phone calls, but I'm just going to go ahead and start making them. Why wait till later in the day? Just take advantage of those moments. Maybe the kid took a nap and your child doesn't normally take a nap, or it's not at the normal nap time. Like, take advantage of that moment, right? To go throw the laundry in and make a phone call. Just being flexible, I guess, is what I'm saying. And using all the little times that pop in that you can.
Well,
What
and
would
that's
be
important for sure.
what would be like one thing you wish, like you said, I wish I had this playbook when I was, 20 years ago, things would have been different. So what's one thing you wish you could go back and tell yourself?
Oh, good question. I guess to really look for other women entrepreneurs and literally start a group where we can support each other and talk about, what we're doing, what our challenges are, what's happening with our kids, and that type of thing. I think it would be so awesome to be able to do that, and so much easier now, especially with the joys of technology.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, definitely that. And then to be able to talk about systems and how that works in, business and the like. Because yeah, doing a lot of things on your own back then, we were really on an island.
I bet. I bet. Yeah. I I bet 20 years ago I wasn't an entrepreneur, and I only had one child, and at that time we still had her part-time, so I can't imagine. I mean, I know, like you said, technology is just completely different, the
Mhm.
resources you have at your fingertips now that you wouldn't have had then. Good and bad. I mean, there's some of that might be bad. That was easier. I know, when I was doing counseling and I was working, and all the mental health evaluations were all handwritten, right? It was all, you
Mhm.
sat there and wrote. There was not a computer we were typing it into. But just before I left, it was like everything went to computer, and that was like a huge adjustment for me. I was like, I can do this so much faster just writing it down and sitting here typing at this computer. Are you kidding me? But now that wouldn't even handwriting something wouldn't even be an idea. I mean, even when you go to the doctor, there's not handwriting anything.
It's true.
They have their iPad and they're putting in whatever, right? So things have changed. Um, I think if I went back 20 years, what I know I wish I knew
Mhm.
then was to like just trust in myself. Like I grew up in a very nice middle class family, and the expectation was you went to college and you just got like a good service job and they had a pension, and like you didn't do anything yourself. You didn't have anything yourself. But the freedom that I have because I am a business owner now and I made different mindsets, I think I would have just tell myself to trust in yourself and that it's okay. Like you don't have to do what you think is expected. It's okay to do what you want and have what you want. And you can have it all. And I think that's one thing that I love about this book is showing women it's okay, you know. It's okay to say I want to have a business. It's okay to say I want to have goals. And it's okay to be a stay-at-home mom too.
Yes, definitely you can have it all.
Yeah.
And I think, there's women in here that are, 5 figure, 6 figure, 7 figure, 8 figure earners. We come from all different businesses, walks of life. And I think it is really phenomenal that we can all still share our experiences and we can each learn from each other and move forward. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I can say I definitely love the She Rise community and just meeting, as I meet my co-authors, but even just the people in our regular Facebook group, like you said, having a group of women you can turn to is just so empowering and encouraging. I often post in our group in either encouraging things or things about my business, but no matter when I post, I know that people are going to support me. And so you don't get that always at their places. It really, truly here is about collaboration and not competition,
So
you know?
true.
And really it should not, I feel like it should never be that way. And I come from the financial world, which is very competitive. Like it is hugely competitive in my realm, right? I've never personally been that way because to me, I'm like, there's enough money in the world. I don't need to compete with you, right? I just need to do what's right for people. And as long as I'm doing what's right for people, it will flow back to me. And I constantly collaborate with other women that are in my same field, and a lot of times they're kind of like baffled by it in the beginning. They're kind of just like, "Why are you being nice to me? Like, why do you want to see me do well?" And I'm like, "Well, why do I want to see you do bad? Like, that doesn't make sense to me."
True.
We
Mm.
rise up together as women. So that it is truly what I love about the She Rise mission is that the idea that we can rise together, not beat each other down and try to climb on top of each other to get to somewhere.
I agree. I mean, I used to sell software 20 years ago for a decade. So yeah, that was, a
A
very
male
male
dominated,
dominant,
competitive. Yeah.
grind, grind, grind. That's all we did is grind kind of thing. So it is definitely very different doing it from a female standpoint and a little more with a feminine flair for sure. And I love that this book, they coined it Go Mama Go, right?
Yeah.
It was just, it's simple. It's childlike, but it has such a punch for us to stand up, like you said, and know our worth and be able to bring that to the world. And I love that.
Yeah, it's good.
So thank you so much for being here. And I guess we should tell them, if you do want to, please help us this week. We are #1 hot new release in the US,
Yes.
#1 hot new release in Canada, and
Yes.
#8 in Canada for spirituality.
Yes.
So we are still looking to climb those charts, and you can catch the ebook on Amazon
Yeah.
this week up until Monday before the book releases. So we
Yeah,
love
go
your support.
get your
Thank you.
ebook, get your read on, and get some encouragement and support to keep going. Like you said, go mama, go. I think the one main thing is we just, aside from putting too many hats, we just don't give ourselves the credit or the pat on the back that we need. And just, get the book, get a chance to read through and find, you're going to find some people that really resonate with you. Something that really just, it gives you that little piece you thought you were missing. And I hope that you can find some real encouragement and motivation there. I know I did. So I think you definitely will. I appreciate you for having me on, and I'm always excited to talk about this project and this mission. I think it's definitely needed and it's important. So thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being here, Heather. And please join us in the Facebook group for She Rises Studios. And you will find us all there. We all have our own community links too that you can join. So thank you for listening. This was my first actual live. So it was very exciting to have Heather here to talk about our new book.
Yeah.
And we will talk to you all very soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.